The dark psychology of Franklin Saint and Snowfall. Everybody know who this man is, Franklin Saint. I'm watching Black Mafia Family right now. I just finished the first episode. People kept saying that this show is fire too. But I ain't gonna lie, I don't think nothing beats Snowfall, man. Whew, that last episode it still hits home. It don't hit home. What the hell am I talking about? What the fuck am I talking about? It does not hit home at all. Not even close. It hits the soul. Like it hurts. He went up straight back to the beginning. Oh, that hurts. Let go.
Insane. And if you've indulged in the series Snowfall, I think you'll agree with me that Franklin has one of those dark character arcs that become amusing to us as viewers. A story of a regular kid getting a taste of excessive money and power through the drug game, which transforms his characteristics negatively in order to increase his wealth. Snowfall is a great series because it doesn't just show us the life of Franklin Saint, it makes us feel it. After watching it, we feel like we know what it's like to be a drug dealer, to make a lot of money, and to make hard choices. But my focus in this documentary is on the psychological aspect of Franklin's character, the problems he actually has from a scientific standpoint, and what there is to learn from the consequences of his actions. So allow me to take you through his story so far while I break down the psychological components that turned him from an innocent kid on the block to an evil drug lord, and answer the question, is Franklin Saint a psychopath?
Powerful.
The game's rigged. It ain't made for people like us, so you know what? I'm rewriting the rules.
Franklin Saint gets introduced in 1983 as a 19-year-old black kid living in South Central LA. The traits he seems to possess are being ambitious and intelligent, someone with extreme potential. He graduates high school and gives university an attempt, but ends up dropping out. The initial problem that arises for Franklin is that he's misguided. Being a black working class man in this period, Franklin struggled to find purpose outside his neighborhood. Amongst his people, the narrative suggests that going down the educational route just equals an uphill battle against the white middle class when looking for good jobs and careers, which deters most from trying, resulting to either being an athlete or being on the streets. Franklin knows internally he's destined for greatness, but just feels like society isn't in his favor. He initially starts working in a grocery store while also selling cannabis for his uncle Jerome, making okay money but not to the extent that really satisfies him. However, one day, his white friend Rob tells him where he gets his coke from, a man named Avi. Franklin, being the ambitious kid he is, sees a potential opportunity to make more money.
It sounds like this video is just a recap, but I'm gonna still watch it because the show is so far.
Due to the substance being a much higher price than what he's used to. So he approaches Avi and proposes that he's given a chance to impress.
Okay, front me your key. And I'll turn it around quick.
How you plan on doing that?
I know people in my neighborhood.
You don't even know what cocaine is in your neighborhood, let alone have the money to afford it.
My people do. And it could mean a whole new client base for you.
In Franklin's mind, if he doesn't get rich somehow, he'll be stuck forever. So his determination at this point was incredibly high to do whatever it takes. Selling pure coke in Franklin's neighborhood wouldn't work well because poorer people can't afford it. And not long into his journey, he was beaten up and robbed for stealing a high-value customer from two other sellers. But not deterred, he tries to branch out to different areas, and whilst in Oakland with his two boys Leon and Kevin, Franklin finds out about crack cocaine, which they called rock, a more dangerous drug due to its potency and cheap price. But in Franklin's business mind, all he could see was dollar signs. So he learns how to cook up rock and brings it back to LA, where notoriety is being gained and respect is important. He engages in violence and killing for the first time in his life, and appears uncomfortable, showing his lack of experience in the game. But now he's got his product and he's got his customers in his neighborhood, he is recruited for good into the drug world, and profits are his future. A character Franklin comes into contact with is Teddy McDonald. Teddy is going to be
Teddy.
an important character in this video as he displays the balance
Very
between
important
Franklin and
character.
higher powers. When meeting Franklin, Teddy is a CIA agent whose aim it is to supply drugs into the USA and use the profits to fund a war against communism in another country. When he meets Franklin, he introduces him under a fake alias, Reed Thompson, and offers to become his coke supplier, which Franklin takes and then gets his people to turn into rock and distribute at a cheap price around the neighborhood. This is Franklin's first major issue. Of course, Franklin is desperate to reach financial success, but his plan now becomes to do it at the expense of his own people. The product Franklin is selling is highly addictive and ruins the lives of people who get hooked on it, but to him, that's just a cost of doing business. The fact he's willing to sacrifice other people's livelihood for his own financial gain is the first sign of narcissism in Franklin, which is extreme self-importance, but I feel it develops more as the story goes on, so we'll dive deeper into that soon. Franklin ensured the people recruited into his business to cook up the rock were close. His uncle Jerome, his aunt Louie, his two best friends Leon and Kevin, and his other friend Rob. This was to maintain trust within the business. The rest of the sellers at a lower level were kids recruited trying to make a bit of extra money. One of the
Wait, Kevin's character? This character is in BMF. I saw him in BMF, didn't I? If I'm not mistaken, I saw him in BMF.
was Kevin's cousin Delroy, who ended up being murdered by a Mexican hitman for dealing on their territory. After finding out, Kevin became unhinged. However, Franklin understood that the Mexican was well connected to gangs and retaliation would lead to a war, and made a logical decision to not retaliate. Kevin, being more emotional, didn't accept this and tried to end matters himself. He gave away the recipe for rock to Mexicans in exchange for the location of the hitman, but as he went to fire the fatal
my
shot,
God.
Franklin, in an attempt to stop him, shot Kevin in the leg, and he passed away due to blood loss. Being in the game has led to Franklin killing his best friend, ruining his relationship with his mother, and now he's considering leaving it. Coupled with that, he gets arrested and thrown in jail, where he's brutally beaten up. At his deepest depths, almost given up, his best friend Leon gives him a speech to give him some hope.
But I want you to listen to me. I've been where you at, but you gotta keep fighting, you hear me?
Yeah, man, of course.
Due to Franklin's connection with Teddy, he gets off the murder charge and free from prison, and Franklin connects the dots and realizes who Teddy is, a CIA agent, but already deep in, decides to continue with the game and carry on his business. Going through the depths and struggles that he's now been through, we now have a darker, more heartless Franklin Saint, with only one goal on his mind.
The moolah.
Franklin knows that if he wants to make more money, he needs to increase his customer base. He also needs to be a more ruthless leader. Bigger business typically means more problems, and that doesn't change for Franklin. His first issue is Andre Wright, a police officer who also happened to be Franklin's neighbor and the father to Franklin's ex-girlfriend Melody. Yeah, tricky situation. Franklin then acquires a place in the hills to stash his cash and important documents, but Andre and the police were hot on his tail, which was an issue Franklin had to be wary of. A second issue was that Franklin's repercussions of drug dealing were getting closer to home. Wanda, Leon's girlfriend, got addicted to rock, resulting in their relationship being forced to end, and now Melody is also an addict. Franklin's ruthlessness prevailed after he got Leon to execute a member of his crew for bringing attention to the cookhouse before police raided it, and due to Andre being too much of a threat to Franklin's business, Franklin also takes his life. Bringing back the idea of narcissism, Franklin shows signs of having malignant narcissism. This is someone who fantasizes about power and has a tendency to lash out if someone goes against their policies or plans, and they don't mind taking advantage of others to get what they want. These are traits that Franklin is starting to display, and these traits are signifying that Franklin is turning into a psychopath. Added with his lack of empathy and desensitization to killing, the assumption is turning more into a reality. Research suggests that these antics could be related to Franklin running a business.
There was a book a couple of years ago exploring how many CEOs might have psychopathic traits. Perhaps there's something about power, perhaps in order to get to that level, you have to not care about other people, you have to demand a certain level of treatment and respect, and that's what narcissists do.
Whilst doing my own research, I found that 4 to 12% of CEOs display psychopathic tendencies, suggesting a correlation between Franklin's career choice and his psychology. Melody managed
This
to
is
connect
crazy.
the dots between her father's death and Franklin's
All the
movement
memories
set,
just coming back
and
to
as
me.
retaliation, shoots Franklin 3 times, leaving him for dead.
I forgot about it.
Franklin managed to survive, and despite having enough money to call it quits on the game after realizing the damage he's done and the problems that have come as a result, he feels he has a sense of duty to restore peace in his neighborhood after gang wars broke out whilst he was wounded. Scully and Manboy were the leaders of the Blood and Crip gangs and had gone to war over territories to sell their product. Franklin saw both of them as a threat to the business and had long-term plans to take both of them out, but kept them both close and acted as if they were civil partners. This manipulation of fake relationship for ulterior motives is another indication of psychopathic tendencies within Franklin. At first he sides with Manboy to try and kill Scully, which fails. Then Leon accidentally kills Scully's daughter, which also happens to be Manboy's niece. Now both of them put their issues aside and go to war against Franklin, along with Khadija, Scully's baby mother and Manboy's sister, who's put a bounty on Leon's head. They give Franklin an ultimatum to either give up Leon and continue business as usual, or protect Leon and go to war. Franklin has shown all of his psychopathic tendencies, and it wouldn't be a surprise for him to give up his friend for the sake of the business. But one of Franklin's key traits is being loyal to those who have been there from the start. In the war, Franklin displays his superior intelligence that I mentioned at the start, and manages to overcome Khadija and Manboy, and Scully retires from the war, leaving Franklin with no more enemies. However, another problem arises closer to home. His father, Alton, a figure that only recently came back into Franklin's life, fears for Franklin's safety due to him working with the CIA agent Teddy, and exposes the story to a reporter and puts Teddy's career and therefore Franklin's business in jeopardy, causing friction between them. Like I said, when I first introduced Teddy to the story, he's the only one who has power superiority to Franklin, and Franklin finds it a struggle to make things on his terms, and he's so used to having control over the people he works with. But Franklin overcomes this imbalance and stops Teddy from retaliating, and lets his mom and dad flee the country to Cuba. However, Teddy loses his job after getting exposed, and tracks Alton down and ends his life too, unbeknownst to Franklin, and now Franklin can focus on a much brighter future for the business.
Damn.
Time goes by and Franklin finds a girlfriend, Veronique, who is pregnant with his child. In an attempt to increase his wealth legally, he now runs a major real estate firm and develops legit connections. However, he was still a drug kingpin. Franklin being in this relationship with Veronique and a child on the way motivates him to leave the game, but there's still loose ends that need tying. For one, Franklin has been given a replacement CIA officer, Brady, who was a lot more easygoing than Teddy, but wasn't performing to the expectations of the CIA. So Teddy returned, and despite Franklin being almost certain that he'd killed his father, proceeds to work with him as he feels he has no choice. Louis and Jerome, probably Franklin's most valuable partners in the business, now want to break away and run things separately. This would make business a lot worse for Franklin, and therefore he tries to stop them.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but everybody's got to answer to somebody. And me, I answer to the man who may have disappeared my father, and who will do the same to us if we don't move this product. Now, I don't know about y'all two, but I'd like to stay alive long enough to enjoy what I've made. So from here on out, I don't want to hear anything else about kilos or prices. Y'all want to go out on your own? Fine, but do not for 1 second around with what I got to do to get mine, because I promise you, there is nothing I'm not prepared to do.
Leon also no longer wants to be part of Franklin's enterprise, and wants to help his people in the projects. The thing with Franklin is that he believes because he's more logical and intelligent than everyone else, it's okay to minimize the thoughts and opinions of other people and make choices for them. And for years now, he's had that control because he had the cash, and cash is king. Money is power. But now, things are starting to crack. Franklin feels uncomfortable and feels like he must go to extreme lengths to protect the business. So when he finds out that his longtime friend Rob was also addicted to the product and accidentally spilled out some information about the business, Franklin heartlessly takes his life too. Franklin had been running around with his bodyguard, Peaches, ever since he started making big money. And the whole time, Peaches had been extremely loyal to Franklin, to the point where Franklin even showed him where some of his money was stashed. However, he was unaware that Peaches had also become addicted to rock, and in a planned event, $5 million of his money was stolen, and Franklin and his family were shot at, all organized by Peaches, who had now fled. This all hits Franklin hard. Jerome and Louis get married, but at the wedding, Scully dosed the chocolate with acid, making Franklin hallucinate and conversate with the old version of himself, which gives him the idle introspection that he needed.
Know your fear. Let the worst thing Dad did come true for you. For us, that's bullshit. He never cared about anybody but himself. He said he was working for the people, but as soon as somebody crossed him, what'd he do? He threw them right under the bus. And here you are talking about the white man's ass when everybody gotta kiss your ass, or else. I help people. Help people. My God, you listen to yourself? God damn.
Franklin now realizes everything at once. He got into the game for himself and hurt a lot of people along the way. Lives ruined or lost. And he believed helping some people get rich at the expense of this justifies it. And this realization of this justification was enough for him to change. All his psychopathic traits start to fade at this point. He starts to feel empathy, starts to consider other people's choices more, and becomes less self-centered. But to hit Franklin hard while he's getting up, Louis went directly to Teddy to buy instead of Franklin, just to get more profit.
Oh, bro.
Detrimentally affecting Franklin's business. Franklin contemplates and takes a step back to look at life. He sees the money he has, his future wife, an unborn child, and all of this leads to Franklin deciding he's done with the game. He confronts Teddy and tells him it's been a good journey, but he's got a family that he needs to prioritize. Franklin Saint had come full circle and became the man he needed to be, an empathetic soul finally. And yes, damage had been done, but at least he's changed for the better. But nothing could have prepared Franklin for what came next. Feeling betrayed by everyone, Franklin receives the biggest possible blow by Teddy, as he empties Franklin's bank account, stealing $73 million in the process.
Oh my goodness, boy. Imagine that. Like, bro, nobody will ever understand. Like, mind you, he's been a millionaire for years now. Like, he's used to bread. Now just imagine waking up one day stripped. 73 mil. I mean, Teddy, you could at least have left my dog 20-25 M's. Why you had to take the whole pot? He took every, bro. Whew. I know that hit. That's a Mike Tyson. That's a clean shot.
Leaving Franklin not just broke, but in debt.
And he got a family. Boy, I'm yeah, I know it, yeah.
Franklin tries to ask Louis for help, but she says it's not her issue, despite her being the reason that he's in this mess in the first place. Franklin now craves revenge against Louis, Jerome, and most importantly, Teddy. And how he deals with this vengeance is the story for the next video.
Whoa, wait. Hold on, no, we're not done here. Crazy. God damn, this is long as hell. Gotta watch it though, I ain't gonna lie.
How does a man go from this?
I got my money.
This it entails
is they
is and who
showing?
once had it all. Franklin is only going to be analyzing it.
I want the life of anybody. That ain't gonna happen. But I promise you, none of these.
I don't even know if you'll be able to pull
Bro,
yourself
is
back
this
up.
like a continuation?
What would you do in his situation? After enduring the hardships of the drug game, killing, lying, and escaping death on multiple
I am
occasions,
interested. This
it
is
all
intriguing.
became worth it, as Franklin retired with $73 million to his name. He was going to marry his girlfriend Veronique and use the money to provide a comfortable upbringing for their children and the following generations. But after making that decision to retire, Franklin's plug, CIA officer Teddy McDonald, robbed all $73 million, wiping his account and leaving Franklin back where he started, broke.
Start back at zero. That ain't gonna happen.
You can only imagine the pain and the anger that would take over once losing such a substantial amount. Loss aversion is a cognitive bias that describes why, for individuals, the pain of losing is psychologically twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. The loss felt from money or any other valuable object can feel worse than gaining that same thing. If I were to give you $1,000 right now for no reason, you'd be pretty happy. But if I took $1,000 from your account for no reason, it would hurt more. And you'd feel pain to a larger extent than to the happiness of receiving the money. It's not even just that for Franklin, but he's aware of the person he had to become to make this money. How much of a monster he had to become for the sake of financial freedom.
I've killed people, destroyed lives. Whatever I had to, not just to survive, but to win. I saw the simple truth. If by any measure, I'm a monster.
And now, that was all going to be for nothing. And beyond the financial freedom, money gave Franklin power and respect. And without the money, he felt as though he'd fallen from the highest pedestal. This created a character with no sense of morality. In his eyes, nothing had as much importance as money, and he was going to do whatever he could to make it back.
Told you the gloves had to come off.
I didn't realize that meant robbing your own family.
We had to stop the bleeding. Buy us some time till I could find Teddy.
Franklin tried to ask his Aunt Louie for help, but she rejected. So Franklin robbed his own uncle and aunt of $3.4 million of cash and cocaine,
That ain't
sparking
nowhere
a war
near
between
close to
family
the
members.
73 mil he lost.
When you said you didn't want to go to war with your family, but you need to know exactly who we dealing with.
Although $3.4 million is much less than Franklin's $73 million, Jerome still feels the pain of being robbed and builds anger and resentment towards his nephew. And out of this emotion, he murders one of Franklin's female bodyguards, Black Diamond.
Tell Franklin that I did this.
But instead of retaliating, Franklin opens his eyes. He realized what was about to entail. He was about to go to war with the most important male figure in his life. Jerome and Franklin had a unique bond. Franklin's father Alton became an alcoholic and was mostly absent, leaving Franklin's mother Sissy to look after a young Franklin. But Jerome, her younger brother, stepped in and raised Franklin like his own.
Instantly, I had love, I had purpose. I was gonna be the man to raise you. For the longest time, I thought that by lifting you up, watching the young man that you was gonna become, that maybe be the greatest thing that ever happened in my life.
Jerome was the closest thing Franklin had to a father, but with limited opportunity, financial struggles were still a problem. That was until Franklin found his way out, selling crack cocaine to people in the neighborhood. Jerome originally wanted no part of it, but this
And
is
then he
where the
got him in.
importance of Louie comes in. Louie was Jerome's girlfriend who he'd eventually go on to marry, and she was pretty useless for the most part. But Jerome loved her deeply and did what he needed to keep her happy. But what this created was a man who never followed his heart, something we see have a negative effect time and time again. When Louie heard the proposition, she instantly became intrigued and pleaded for Jerome's involvement.
Franklin gonna do this with or without us. Be better for him if we in on it.
You got a good life here, don't me? But it still ain't enough, right?
You sound like a little girl right now.
Maybe I do. But 7 figures a month, baby. This world'll be whatever the we want it.
This then enabled Louie to take the reins years into the drug game, with Jerome playing more of a secondary role. So when she had a problem with Franklin and decided to break away from the business, he followed. And that's what makes their current war so sad. The tear in their relationship is collateral
'cause
of
of
Louie's
Louie.
actions, creating a false hatred, blinding them of the love they once had. They attempt to talk it out, but things take a left turn.
I try to give you legacy. Something more than a subwoofer and a weight bench. And if you hadn't let yourself get played by that trick you married, you might have.
You think you talking to?
You ever live?
You ain't gonna do shit.
You do shit!
Do it. Kill me. End this shit right now. Do it.
This battle was tough for Franklin psychologically because deep down he still has love for Jerome, but he feels as though he can't let love get in the way of his money. This was a major sign that greed had overwhelmed Franklin. He picked money over family, a narrative that would continue. They continued to go back and forth at each other for a while, until an abrupt turn of events occur, and Louie is kidnapped by Kane, an accomplice of Franklin,
I remember that.
and begs Franklin to save her.
You want Teddy? I'll help you.
Sorry, Louie. Already gotten in.
Franklin then surprisingly makes the decision to call Jerome and let him know what was happening, and they team up to break her free. But during the process, Jerome dies whilst killing Kane, a bullet to the chest, dying while trying to save his woman.
Damn, man. Imagine watching this video without actually watching the show. You would not understand. Not even close.
Franklin crying at Jerome's death speaks volumes. He never wanted Jerome to die, regardless of the words said, regardless of the guns they pulled on each other. The love was underlying throughout, and it really hit hard for Franklin. At first, he tries to cope using defense mechanisms.
He was my blood, alright? And I loved him. But he never should have broke away from us.
Defense mechanisms essentially help you ease anxiety in your mind when there's conflict within. But the one Franklin seems to be using here is denial. He's trying to appear as though he's lost love for Jerome for breaking away, but his tears would say otherwise. Now he's trying to put up this uncaring front. Not too long after, he suffers from a bad nightmare.
Franklin! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! You're dreaming. It's a dream. You're dreaming. You're dreaming, okay? You're dreaming. Calm down.
Suppressing emotions doesn't eradicate the feeling, it still remains within your subconscious. But Franklin continues to do so in the pursuit of his money. Franklin became heartless after this, and performed actions that make him nothing less than evil.
My accounts are the same as when you took him. Call William. Tell him to transfer it all back. Do it now. And your pops gets to walk out of here like nothing happened.
You don't want to do this.
This is the last time I'm gonna say this to you, Daddy. Send me my mother money. Do it right now.
That's not how it works. There's a process, even if I could.
Wrong answer.
It was the most incompetent soldier ever.
What the fuck? What was that? Hey, Frank, what the fuck did you just do?
This is a depth we've never seen Franklin ever go to. He's never killed someone innocent. His previous victims were accidents or enemies. Kevin was his best friend who he accidentally killed, shooting him in the leg to stop Kevin murdering someone else. And even though technically Kevin was innocent, Franklin deeply regretted it and felt bad instantly. Andre Wright was doing everything in his power to get Franklin into a jail cell, and therefore Franklin saw him as a threat and killed him. Manboy was a direct enemy who was out to kill Franklin, so Franklin tricked and killed him. Rob was Franklin's friend that was spilling secrets about Franklin working with the CIA and was becoming addicted to cocaine, and therefore Franklin saw Rob as a liability and took him out. By no means at all am I saying these murders are justified, but they show Franklin as a character who does whatever he needs to win. But he just killed an old man and showed no remorse. He didn't do that to win, he did that in an attempt to make Teddy feel pain. Franklin by all means is desensitized to killing at this point. Desensitization essentially means that stimuli that would usually shock you no longer does due to the repeated exposure of said stimuli. The first time Franklin ever had to kill was in season 1, when a gangbanger named Carvel stole his money. Along with his best friend Leon, Franklin kidnapped Carvel, took him to a desert and planned to kill him. But Franklin couldn't pull the trigger, and Leon had to do it for him. Fast forward, and now he can slit an innocent old man's throat without remorse. And all the killings he's either done or seen have desensitized him and allowed him to do so, along with the extreme desire to hurt Teddy after feeling betrayed. Things almost go terribly wrong though, after Franklin's plan fails and he gets kidnapped by Teddy, who gets close to ending his life. But then he gets saved by Gustavo, another accomplice. He then reverses the roles and holds Teddy hostage. He tortures him. He protests that he gives him the money.
The account numbers, last time I'm gonna ask you.
But during this time, their dialogue reveals more to their dynamic than had been displayed in the previous seasons.
Never respected me. Never saw me as a partner. But you know, that's how I saw you. I actually thought you was my friend. And as up as that sounds, I mean, shit, seeing as we're telling truths, I actually thought that we might know each other for the rest of our lives.
During their time selling cocaine together, Franklin had been manipulated to believe Teddy was actually on his side in some way, making him an easy victim to steal from when it was all over. Franklin couldn't see that until now, which is why it's so hard for him to comprehend.
Oh, no, that's not it. You were manipulating me from the start. Taking me to that Iranian bank, acting like you wanted to help me when really all you wanted to do was know where I was keeping my money.
Betrayal has a strong effect on one's psychology, When someone has a friend go behind their back or a partner cheat on them, their instant thought is wanting to hurt them just as much or even harder, which we all know as revenge. Franklin has become an extremely vindictive character, essentially someone who tends to hold grudges and get back at you when they feel they've been wronged in some way. But we've seen Franklin behave in ways and carry out actions that the average person wouldn't. For some people, they could behave like this because they're born narcissists or psychopaths genetically, but even Franklin himself believes that the events in his life have shaped him.
You are an animal.
I am what you've made me.
Franklin feels betrayal, manipulation, and theft have all created this evil character that he's become, a sociopath. But at the root of it all, Franklin has only become like this due to his pride and greed, two of the 7 deadly sins. Franklin feels without money, he isn't respected. Before selling cocaine, he felt lost. He felt he was an irrelevant member of society. He had friends, he had family, but no meaning or legacy, and no power. The more money he made, the more people respected him, the more people feared him, and the more control he had to live the life he wanted.
I want the life I was so close to having I could taste it until that mother Teddy ripped it away. That's what I want.
He was about to go and live in his mansion, marry Veronique, have kids, and give them a great upbringing, all because he worked hard for his future. And this made Franklin feel in control. And I'm not saying Franklin shouldn't be enraged. He'd lost $73 million, but he didn't know when to stop. And he went to depths that no man should go to just for money. He was in a dark place psychologically, to a point of no return.
What if we split it? $37 million. Each walk away with a small fortune, and then we go our separate ways.
Franklin showed he was willing to compromise, agreeing that half the money is enough for him. He plans to hand off Teddy to the CIA after the money is transferred.
The password.
She
But
shot
Sissy
him.
makes a sacrifice.
Franklin's lost. One of the greatest tragedies of my life.
Sissy Saint, Franklin's mother, provides another interesting dynamic to Franklin's character. From the start of the show, Franklin had been shown to have an extreme love for her, but she eventually grew to despise him. How did he go from this
Fine. Love you. Love you, love you. Best in the world. Come back for dinner, okay? I'll be there.
to this?
Oh, this is powerful. He would.
What the fuck are you? You're not gonna talk to me, huh? This is all your fault. You ended my life.
After everything I did for you, you not gonna talk to me. You did this to me.
You ended my life. And Teddy should have blown your head off. You bitch.
You.
Sissy was always one foot in, one foot out with Franklin's antics, and he became tired of it. When he first started making big money from the streets, she refused to take any of it.
I can't accept it.
What you mean? What you mean you can't accept it? And I bought you a house, Mom. In cash.
Illegal cash. Using a fake name. Don't you see what's wrong with that?
But perhaps tired of struggling, she eventually worked with Franklin to help clean his dirty money through a real estate business, which she had expertise in. Their relationship then fluctuated. The more Franklin went on, the more his decisions were about money in contrast to about family. When Franklin's money was stolen, she was originally on his side, willing to help take down Teddy.
Still want to get a hold of Teddy? And kill him? I can help you do that.
But when she saw how bad Franklin was becoming, she didn't want him to go any further.
Franklin, I think we need to let this go. I see what this is doing to us. What it's already done. Look at
Baby girl, you don't even know who you talking to right now. You looking at bro, looking at you like man.
This obsession with this money.
You wanted to do more than that. $73 million. 73.
Becoming.
No matter how much people online disagree with Sissy's actions, she is right.
She's right.
Maybe her execution and timing of things are wrong, but her message is right. Franklin
Yeah,
is
the
losing
timing
all
was
of his
way
good
wrong.
human traits trying to pursue this money. He's lost his peace, his happiness, his gratitude, and his sanity. She tries to tell him that he doesn't need to go any further because the money isn't worth all of that. Franklin isn't going to die without the money. Yes, his life isn't going to go the way he wanted it to, but his sanity is worth more than money. He still had the real estate income. His best friend still had $3 million in cash. And most of all, everyone still close to Franklin didn't want him for his money. He could have accepted the fact he got played, which, don't get me wrong, would have been incredibly hard to face, but he was in a game where most people die or end up in prison. He still had his life. He still had general freedom. He still had love, but that wasn't enough for him in his mind. Sissy knew this and tried to stop his greed going any further, which is why she did what she thought she had to do. However, it's also likely she killed Teddy out of rage because Teddy admitted to killing her husband. Either way, her original mindset was correct.
And you and I will never see each other again. Can you live with that?
Yes.
When Franklin told her he could live with never seeing her again, she'd realized he valued money over family, just like with Jerome, and he'd lost her at that point. And she wasn't the only important woman he lost.
His wife?
When Franklin met Veronique, he slowly changed. She fell pregnant with his child, which made him realize the need to get out of the drug game. His unborn baby became the main motivator to stop being involved, making Veronique important to Franklin. Their love seemed to be genuine, and when Teddy stole his money, she sided with him.
To me, he's a man who hasn't lied or raised a hand. He's doing everything in his power to deliver the life I want, no matter how he has to do it.
Veronique does value Franklin's money because she sees it as a means of safety, protection, and peace. So she begged him to leave the drug game and use the money to raise their baby. For the most part, she tried to empathize with Franklin while still trying to keep him from going too far.
Swallow your pride. Listen to your mother and make peace with your family. Okay?
Veronique, just like Franklin, justifies his actions with the fact that it's for their baby. She might not be as greedy, but still sees the importance of the money. However, Franklin and Veronique became unsteady when Franklin started drinking. It started with a single shot after his mother killed Teddy and ruined their chances of getting the money, but after he'd felt the temporary relief it gave him, he used it to cope.
Bro, he's wildin', bro.
The drink, mixed with Franklin's realization that he has no money and the anger towards his mother, put him in a volatile mind state. Veronique admittedly did wrong, as she went behind his back to see what prices investors would be willing to pay for some of their real estate shares. She should have spoken to Franklin beforehand, and she was sorry about that. Franklin, however, took things too far.
No, baby, that's not all I said to you. Don't ever go behind my fucking back again, you hear me? Come with me.
This is the moment he lost her. A woman can drop her love for a man instantly if he puts her hands on her. Bear in mind she watched Franklin kill Teddy's father, knowing he's losing his mind and becoming a threat to her. But that was enough for her to take the remaining $800K left in his investment account and flee the country.
Oh my goodness, man.
Phil, how substantial?
We'll need to verify the exact amount. It's the majority of the available funds.
Boy, this dude.
Franklin lost both Veronique, his unborn child, and the last amount of money he had left.
Bro,
it's ironic
now
because
you are at
his child
zero.
and Veronique were the main reasons he wanted the money, but he proved he desired the power more. When it all came down for Franklin, he believed there was only one more person he could turn to.
Leon. And he turned, yeah.
Listen, Lee, I need money, man. And a lot more than another $500K. I'm sorry, I gotta ask.
Leon had been Franklin's closest friend.
A
from
lot
young,
more than another
and might just be the most
500K
important
is
character
funny as
in this
hell.
story. We see Leon looking at Franklin with disappointment during the scene.
He
He's
looked
known
like a
Franklin forever
crackhead.
and has seen him transition from an innocent go-getter to an evil, greedy murderer. And during Franklin's downfall, Leon tries to keep Franklin from going down this path, just as Sissy did.
She's right. I've been around you my whole life, so I know how bad you want this. And I always believe in you. But trust me when I tell you, you don't want to go to the place you're about to go. It's hell down there. And you don't even know if you'll be able to pull yourself back up.
The real reason Leon is so important is because despite being best friends, the two of them are opposing characters. Whilst Franklin started off innocent and became villainous, Leon started out delinquent and experienced redemption. In the early seasons, Leon was hot-headed, violent, and didn't have purpose. But as time went on, he hated the violence that went on. He hated and didn't have purpose. But as time went on, he hated the violence that went on. He hated that black people were bringing each other down for greed. So he went on a long trip to Ghana to open his mind. He married his sweetheart from young, Wanda, and he came back reformed, advocating for further education, trying to lessen the drug dealing in his area, and trying to get Franklin to realize there's more to life.
Full change, man.
I want you to have that money, and I ain't gonna disrespect what she did.
Bro, what's crazy is bro asked for the whole $3 million. He asked for the whole $3 million, said he was going to invest it, triple it or something, and then pay him back and more. Like, bro, are you kidding me, dog? Like, you really not my homie no more. Damn. Yo, that was what I'm like, bro. You talking about just another 500K, bro? Forget about all the investment. Forget about everything, bro. You're broke. But I can't sit here and put myself in his shoes, cause I mean I just can't, bro. He has 73 million. 500K is like $500 to this, bro.
By giving you something she didn't want you to have.
Are you for real right now? After everything I've done for you, you gonna sit there with a life raft and watch me drown? Nigga, I'm the reason y'all niggas got this money in the first place.
It's blood money. If I can give it all back, I would.
Oh, fantastic, brilliant, great. Give it all back to me. I need that money, Lee. And you're gonna give it to me.
You see, bro?
I'm gonna take it.
You're gonna
Franklin
take
began
it.
to gaslight and tried to manipulate Leon, who sees right through him with further disappointment. Franklin telling Leon the money is basically his is like your employer asking you for your salary back because they're the ones that paid you for your work. Leon isn't even offended by Franklin's demands. He just wishes Franklin can somehow reform, to find redemption like he did. Maybe if Franklin changed, Leon would have helped him move into legit business, side by side as partners. But he couldn't work with someone like that, and Franklin became his own worst enemy. 3 months later, when Franklin was taking out loans just to pay the rent whilst living in his mother's old house, being at the top and falling to the bottom put Franklin into a Great Depression. Franklin making his fortune felt amazing. Franklin losing all of his money put him into a deep despair. He continued to drink, with no loving person close to him. Veronica disappeared. Leon went back to Africa, and his mother was serving life in prison. Franklin lost everything. In a previous season, Franklin had been robbed of $5 million by his bodyguard Peaches, who stole it from his warehouse and fled. At the time, Franklin still had an enormous amount of millions and didn't bother wasting too much energy on it. But he'd kept his investigator top-notch on Peaches to notify him if he's ever sighted, and he was. Franklin, still trying to regain his wealthy status, assumed Peaches would still have a large amount left. So he went to the location, killed Peaches, but found most of the money was gone.
And then he killed boy.
12 grand.
The fact that $12,000 wasn't even enough for Franklin to take proves it isn't about surviving, getting by, because most of us would have gladly taken $12,000. To him, it's about getting back that power, being a millionaire, having that status. He even kills 2 more innocent people in the process of trying to retrieve that money. Franklin was truly done. By the end of the 80s, Leon came to visit Franklin. Franklin had become an unrecognizable alcoholic. He had turned into the version of his father that he'd hated. He lost the house, and he had nothing left. Even a $20 note from Leon was enough to give him a moment of excitement, which he used to buy more alcohol. My previous statement that Leon was the most important character rings true once more, as Leon had opened up a legal clinic with his money, going down the legit route and finding fulfillment in the fact he is helping people who live in struggle. Leon didn't experience the pain Franklin did, granted, but it's sad to see how the two of them went completely different ways, despite starting from similar positions, and Franklin definitely could have taken a path like Leon if he wasn't so greedy. The bottom line is, the one thing a man can't bear to lose is his freedom, and they will do anything it takes to get it back. The final scene between Franklin and Leon is one of the saddest endings, but also a fitting ending to a downfall like Franklin's.
You my best friend. Best friend I ever fucking had. And I'm fucking proud of you. Same.
Oh man, that was so sad, bro. That was like one of the saddest endings. Bro, I don't think there was a sadder ending to TV ever. And Leon was gonna help him too. But he kept walking. And I heard somebody say the reason why he kept walking, he didn't turn around when Leon called him, was because he knew Leon was going to give him money. He knew Leon was going to like help him. But Franklin wanted the freedom. That's what he wanted. He knew he was going to help him. That was beautiful, man. He Franklin just didn't want to be chained by the money no more, so he just kept walking. Cause now he's used to not having money. You see how happy he was when he got the $20? Bro, a lot of people were upset about how it ended, but I think that was a really good ending. Like, that ending is gonna stick with you for like forever, like for a really long time. It's just like that hurts to think about. Like, it's crazy. Shout out to Jay Wisdom, man. He only got 63.1K subscribers. Listen, Jay Wisdom, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to you, but like, I definitely gotta see more of your stuff before I start subscribing, man. But man, shout out to you, man. Damson Idris, phenomenal actor, man. He was dating Lori Harvey, and now they not together. I ain't gonna lie, bro. She collecting it, man. She collecting these famous dudes like Thanos getting Infinity Stones, man. All right, but this video is long enough, man. Thank y'all for watching. What a journey, man. And if y'all haven't watched Snowfall, oh goodness gracious.